Do you need one remote for everything and you want a true smart universal remote? Check this one out, the SwitchBot Universal Remote. Let's start the unboxing. I haven't dug too much into this one yet, but just from the quick ad I saw before I reached out to SwitchBot and was like, hey, can you guys send me one of these to review? I was like, this seems pretty cool. We got some features listed here on the back, but let's go ahead and pop this guy open and see how much we can do with this guy. So when we open the box, first thing we see here is just the remote. And it looks like it's a rechargeable remote because behind our holder is a USB-C charging cable. That's pretty cool. Alright, so there's no batteries, it's just a USB-C rechargeable. And let's go ahead and turn this guy on and see if we got any charge here. No? Let's grab a charging cable real quick and plug it in. While it's doing that, I'm going to take a quick look at our Universal Remote User Manual. So the first thing you're going to want to do is download and install your SwitchBot app. I already have a SwitchBot app for my SwitchBot robotic vacuum, and you can go and watch that video here. But what you're going to want to do now that you're in here, you'll hit the little plus button in the top right corner. We'll say add device, and we're going to say the universal remote. Alright, so now it gives us instructions on how to turn it on. So we'll press our on button for 3 seconds until the logo appears, and then press the on and off for 2 seconds. So on, 3, there's a logo, hit both now. Now it's pairing, connect. You can see there, it's got the little pairing symbol on the remote. Yes, Universal Remote 7A. Pick a room. Being SwitchBot's Universal Remote, I'm going to see how many smart devices I can connect to with this remote. So I have smart lights, I have vacuums, I have TVs, I even have a smart window air conditioner. So I'm going to see how many devices this one remote can actually control. Let's update firmware. Alright, firmware is complete. Now we can, it looks like it's saying to add no devices, please add devices via the app. So let's go in here and it's just telling me, hey, add new devices. So let's go ahead and add. Let's import existing appliances. So we got my mini robot over here, the K10 Plus. So we got that. Add that one, but it doesn't look like it's automatically seeing all my other ones. I don't have those linked in this app, and so we'll go ahead and see if we can link those here today. Well, first take-up I run into is to do anything with this poor remote, you have to have a SwitchBot hub, which I guess is going to be like the bridge for all of your other devices. So I'm going to reach out to SwitchBot, see if we can get one of those, and then we'll go ahead and continue this review. As I'm uploading this, I'm noticing now that SwitchBot only sells this universal remote with the Hub Mini Matter. So you no longer have to buy the hub here. However, it still bothers me that you need the extra. However, it is nice that they are smart enough to say, hey, you know, if you're getting this, you have to have that. So they're going to force you to buy them together anyway. If you're already in the SwitchBot ecosystem and you have one of the hubs, you're good to go. This universal remote on its own, it is an accessory to your hub. Back to the video. All right, it has been a couple months. It didn't take them a couple months to get the hub to me, but it did take me a couple months to get around to making the video. Also, they had some updates that they were pushing out. They're like, hey, let's wait until this update is complete and pushed out. So we're now to the point where SwitchBot has sent out some updates. We've got some upgrades on here, and we're ready for, I think, a full review. I'm going to go ahead and jump now to the next segment, which will be setting up the hub to be connected to another device, which will be this little light that has, it's a button light, but it also has IR controls to turn it on and off with the remote. I'm going to show you how to do that and then clone those controls over to the remote. Okay, so I was just walking out of my bedroom and I looked in my closet and I was like, oh, I have these little LED lights. They're little button lights, super simple, but they have a little remote that you can turn them on and off with that is IR. And I was like, aha, this will be an easy one. Because the battery on this, literally when I went to film this, the battery was dead. It's always dead. So being able to have a rechargeable battery in this guy that can control all of these, that'll be nice. So open up your SwitchBot app and we're gonna go into our hub and then we can say little plus sign there under IR appliances. We're going to say it's a light, and then rather than saying smart match or actually let's try the smart match. Why not? Let's see if it can figure it out. We'll just say start matching. We can say there. Hey, you got it. Okay, so we found 3 different devices. So now we're going to use our hub over there to try and control this light here. Nope, not working. Let's go to the next one. That's not working. And not working. Okay, so we're gonna select manually. I don't have a brand name because this is just something off of Amazon. So we're gonna go ahead and say, didn't find a brand, go to learn buttons. And so now we're just going to say on. So it's waiting for a signal from on. Okay, so it looks like it learned the button. Tap. It's not working. Oh, it was already on. It was trying to turn on a light that was already on. So if I hit on, it turns it on. Turn it off. Hit on. Hey! Okay, save button. Now we're going to do off. We're going to hit off there. Okay, now we got to test it. I'm going to turn it on first, and we'll hit off. Ready? Hey, it turned it off! Turn it back on. Ah! Okay, I shouldn't be so excited about such a simple thing. Save button. Okay, now let's go ahead and say brightness. So we're going to say darker is this button. There we go. Okay, so it picked up our negative and I can see it dimming down our little light. It's super dim now. Okay, save button. So now we're going to go with brighter and use the brighter button here. It looks like it caught it, so now if I turn it facing this guy, it is brightening up our little guy there. Alright, save. Okay, tell it where it is. Okay. I don't know why the air conditioner can't be this user-friendly. For some reason, a light is this user-friendly, but an air conditioner couldn't have those options. That's kind of funny. On, off, on, off. I love it. If we go into the settings on our app, we can say flip the thing to show invalid buttons, and now it only shows the valid buttons here for our light. But if we want to be able to see all of the buttons that it doesn't use, we can see those there as well. To bring that over to our SwitchBot Universal Remote, we'll again go to the main page, go into your Universal Remote, say Manage Devices, and then we'll say Add, Import, Closet Light, Batch Add, and then it's going to take a minute to synchronize between the two of them, do all that stuff. This one says it's going to be 2 to 4 minutes because of all of the settings. I don't know how or why, but I'm excited that that one's working. This one is working correctly. The little IR control, you can ditch these stupid little remotes. Now, haha, we got one for the closet. All right, it says synchronized correctly. So now, on our remote, we can go through our options, and one of them is our closet lights. And now we can use the circle D-pad to turn them brightness up and down. That's super cool. That's nice. So closet lights now run off of our remote. So I mentioned previously that this one got some firmware updates. In that firmware update, you gained access to things like Roku, Chrome, Fire, and Apple TVs. So you may be able to set this up on its own to connect to Apple TVs, Chrome TVs, things like that. However, you probably still want to get this guy if there are any IR or not smart devices that you want to be able to control with this remote. You do have to have the hub first. Now, I've talked about the hub, but let me just give you a quick rundown. This is the SwitchBot Hub 2. What this is a thermostat and a humidity sensor. So we can see right now it's 39% humidity, 71 degrees in this room, or at least next to my computer. I keep a hoodie on because it's actually a little chilly, but if it says it's 71, I'll believe them. Also, I shouldn't neglect here, you got two buttons on the bottom. One says off, the other one says on, and if you tap those buttons, it turns your display off and on. You can also, in the app, program those buttons to enact other things, such as turning off lights, turning on lights, or activating other SwitchBot devices. So they call it a scene. You know, you walk into a room, you hit the on button on that, and it'll open the blinds, it'll turn on the TV, it'll, you know, mute the radio, like whatever you've got it connected to, you know, flipping switches and turning outlets on and off. You can set those all up in the app. I'm not going to be covering any of that today, but those are things that you can do with your SwitchBot Hub 2. Also, I don't want to forget, it also has an IR blaster. That's how it's able to control so many different devices, is inside of this display here also is able to send out in IR, which is the same thing that like your TV remote uses, that little light bulb on the end that you can't see. This uses the same technology and is able to send out those signals to control TVs and other electronic devices. Okay, this is the last thing about the Universal Remote and the hub. The thing that like bugged me the most initially when I first started like having to work with the hub, I got this Universal Remote from SwitchBot because I wanted a Universal Remote. And I figured it would be able to set it up itself, but you have to have the hub to set it up. However, this Universal Remote still works if you unplug this and take it offline. You can take this offline and this will still work on its own. Does not need this, but you do have to have this to set this up. Make it make sense. That's the one thing that irks me the most about this is like, why do I need this if just to set this up, if this can do everything when this isn't even plugged in? And this is where our SwitchBot Universal Remote comes in. So out of the box, it is compatible with other SwitchBot devices, which SwitchBot has a lot. They've got fans, they got air conditioners, they've got switches and outlets and plugs and things like that you can turn on and off. They even have locks. Like, they've got a lot of stuff that you can already interact with this device just out of the box on its own without the hub. But if you want to interact with anything else, you have to get the hub. So to use things like our TV, or I actually have a robot vacuum that uses just a little IR blaster and a remote. You have one of those, or I have an air conditioner that has a remote and little lights that have remotes, like all those things that use remotes. To program them for your Universal Remote, you need to have the hub. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking like, wait a minute, it says it's like Apple Home and Matter compatible. Well, you can see there, it says with the Hub 2 or Hub Matter enabled required. So yeah, it is Matter compatible, but honestly, like when it says Matter compatible, that means you can connect this to Matter, not that this can connect to Matter and then can control those devices. No. I connected it to Matter and it can now, my app on my phone can now control this remote, or can, on my hub here, it can see the humidity and temperature, but it doesn't work the other way. Because I have a lot of smart like light bulbs and other vacuums and air conditioners and like all these other things that aren't run using IR remotes, that I only interact with them using the app, that I can't use this even with that. So all of my smart light bulbs, all of my other smart devices, this universal remote doesn't work, which was kind of a letdown. I was really excited. Like, granted, the main reason I got this is I have a TV in my bedroom, and on one side of the bed is the remote, and on the other side of the bed is usually me. So I want to have my own remote. So now my wife and I both have our own remotes on either side of the bed, whether one's sleeping, so I don't want to get up and get out of bed or crawl over them and wake them up. I can just roll over onto my side of the bed and grab the remote, turn down the volume of the TV, change the channel, whatever it is. Or if I'm asleep, she doesn't have to try and like reach over me if I happen to have had the remote. It makes things a little easier going to bed. So it does meet the main criteria or reason why I got this. As for your hub here, where's the list? It is Alexa, Google, Siri, IFTTT, Smart Things through Samsung, and Matter compatible. But again, I think Apple might have some crossover, but every other one doesn't seem to have any crossover. And I don't have an iPhone. I have a Samsung phone you've seen in my review videos. I know in some other videos I've had one, but it's one that I borrow, I use. It's not mine. I think I already mentioned it, but for IR controls, that is your remotes and all these things here, to use all of these remotes into this one, you do have to have the hub, if I haven't made that clear. So once you've got the hub set up, and it also works essentially like the universal remote, turning your phone into a universal remote for all of these things, which is actually kind of cool if you think about it. It turns all of these devices here, all of these dumb, basic devices here, all of these remotes into one universal remote in one app on my phone. So like, I almost don't need this unless this guy isn't able to be in a place that points in a broad enough area to activate or control all of the devices. So like this little light here can be controlled using my SwitchBot hub or my remote, but where it's in a closet, they're not all of these will be able to see that IR light coming into the closet, so not all of them will be activated. Or if I have a robot vacuum and it's underneath a chair, I keep mine underneath a chair in my living room, it's not gonna be able to shine underneath the chair. Then again comes in the universal remote where you can point it and move it around and wave it around and be able to activate all of these things. But otherwise, like, you can use the app on your phone. Overall, when setting it up, if it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be really easy. But if you run into something a little difficult, it's gonna be really annoying and difficult. So perfect example, I cut that whole section out because it drove me so nuts trying to film it and understand what was happening is, I have a smart air conditioning unit. It can turn itself on and off when, you know, certain temperatures are reached, just like a regular thermostat. However, it measures in Fahrenheit. But for some reason in the app, no matter what I do, it changes the settings to Celsius. And so I get home and I'm like, it says it's 25 degrees. I don't know what 25 degrees Celsius is. I'm sure some people in Europe and over other countries that use, you know, the metric system, they understand that. I do not. I use Fahrenheit. And so anytime I go to change the temperature, I go to turn it on and off, it resets this to Fahrenheit. I can go into the settings on my air conditioning unit again and reset it to Fahrenheit again. But then anytime I want to use my remote, it resets it to Celsius. It's obnoxious. Okay, so if you're running into the same issue with your air conditioner switching from Fahrenheit to Celsius like I did, you'll want to jump into the app and turn it off of Celsius. You'll do this by going into the SwitchBot app, go into your universal remote, hit the gear in the top right corner of the screen there, and then we'll click on Device Settings, and then at the very bottom we have Temperature Unit, and then it will stop switching to Celsius. Yay! Why is that the default? Why can't you just like look where I am and be like, oh yeah, they don't use Celsius in the US. SwitchBot, there's a firmware update for you. And I don't even get all of the functionality with the remote. I get the option to turn it on and off. That's the only things that I was able to get to work with my air conditioner using IR, which is a little silly. Like they should have just like a general like air conditioner thing similar to how I have the one for our lights here, this little light. It was super easy to set up because I could just tell it like, hey, this button, we're gonna activate that one, that's our on. This button is off, this button is dim, this is bright, this one is to set a timer, whatever like that. And there was a whole bunch of other like lighting type of options like color or temperature, things like that. You can change all those things using the lighting remote when you manually set one up, but the air conditioner remote doesn't give you that option. It gives you the option to turn on and to turn off. That's it. I can't set it up to say, hey, turn on, and then I can say, hey, here is the button to change our like cool versus fan versus whatever mode, or this is the button to say, hey, turn our temperature up and down, this is to change our fan speed, things like that, set a timer, turn the display on and off. There's all these options that this little remote has that this SwitchBot remote for some reason won't even let me get. It just gives me on and off. I almost want to try and hack it, and by saying like, oh yeah, this air conditioner is something different. It has, you know, it's just a fan, you know, and then I can, hopefully it will give me the same programming options as the lights remote, where I can just like program things myself. That would be really nice, but it did not for that, and it's kind of frustrating. So some things go super easy, like the lights that I showed you. Some things are really difficult and frustrating, like my air conditioner. It's not perfect. Yes, it will turn it on and off. If that's what you really want, it'll turn it on and off, but it won't have all of the options and capabilities of this dinky little remote. But once it is set up, once things are all in place, you know how to use it, it's actually really easy. Like, I can go through here and scroll through my menu. I don't know if you're gonna be able to read that. We can scroll through all of our devices. We got our vacuum and our our TV, lights, air conditioner, stuff like that. We can then, once we get to the one we want, we just hit that center button to select it. And now we can tell it on and off, just like that. If you want to go back to the menu, you hit the little red S. So just remember that, use your home button. Don't use this home button because that's like an assigned button for this device. But the S is your go home button, to where then you can come back here and scroll around. Now, while I'm scrolling, I do want to share with you how to do this, because out of the box, it is set up that you have to hit up and down to scroll through these, but I like the scroll through kind of like an old iPhone, or not iPhone, an old iPod. Do you remember the iPods that had like the scroll wheel like this? Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But to enable the scroll wheel rather than using this up and down arrows, you go to your main menu in the SwitchBot app, go into your Universal Remote, hit the gear in the top right corner of the screen there, and then we can choose device settings, and then you can see here our touch wheel right there is where you can switch it back and forth. This is also the same place where you can change your temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius, Celsius to Fahrenheit. There are some frustrations, some things that pushed my buttons in this whole process. However, in the long run, I was able to take these 4 remotes, and I can even find more things in my home that are run by IR and turn it into just one. Or if I really want, switch to just my phone and use the SwitchBot remote through my phone using this hub. Super cool that I can do it through the hub. However, again, the hub has to be in a place where it can broadcast and see those devices. I know I've covered a lot today. If you have questions about this, whether it's the SwitchBot remote or our hub, go ahead and leave those questions in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to answer those. And if you want to get this remote for yourself, I will also link it down in the description of this video, as well as a link to this SwitchBot Hub 2 down in the description of this video. I am an Amazon affiliate, so using those links do help to support this channel with no additional cost to you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.